Hallelujah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And one day, you're most welcome to this wonderful, wonderful life. Again, is wonderful day to be here on Facebook, YouTube, and we're here on the community engagement page. We want to say welcome and by the special grace of God, again, this is a time to talk about our human rights education. And most of us, actually, today, we're going to be delving into a little bit of right and responsibility because if not all of us, most of us don't understand what it means to have rights. And again, we look at trafficking, we look at disability rights. People with disabilities have rights, and we look at women's rights, which is human rights, different aspects of human rights that give us a responsibility. Those of us who attended the United States Institute for Diplomacy and Human Rights will understand what it means probably when we talk about rights. But with the community engagement, looking at our road, our automatic actually area, promoting women's rights, children's right, disability right, religious freedom, and you can name all the different things. We believe that everyone has the right, and there's no option. Our motto is uh, there's no option in human rights. You must respect someone's right. So if there's no options, then it means that we can go into any other thing to talk about human rights, but there's no option. That option means there's no way that you can say I will not respect this person, probably, or I'm not going to listen to all these people because, well, I want to do this. There's no option. The only options is to respect your husband, to respect your wife, to respect peoples of society. So there's no option, and we believe it so much. The community engagement. If I looked the freedom of movement, freedom of speech, and all that is freedom. You have right to speak, but you have responsibility to make choices the way you speak. And so, because people are not okra, are not actually understanding what it means to have human rights and what it means to demand your right, then of course you can turn into the community engagement. We're here to give you all the impact and every good information you need, except that you don't want information. Because information brings transformation. Actually, information plus application bring transformation. So we believe that we have rights. I have rights, but I have responsibility. So if I make choices, I have to account for the choice I made because there are consequences of the choice I made. So the fact that I have responsibility, the fact that I have rights, and I demand the right and forget about the responsibility I have as a wife. If you are a wife listening to the sound of my voice, or you are a woman, um, you are right. Your right is numerous, and you can see it in America. Even though some of us have abused the right because we start to use it as a business, and that is not right. That was choice. So you make choices, and then the consequences. So, but then because people are not actually naive, or probably they don't understand what it means to demand their right, what it means to apply it, what it means to make choices. And we know we have different classes in the world today. People choose to do anything they want to. Well, hit the other people, the other black, white, all kind of different stuff go on in the world. No matter what, you will have bad people. And we talk about the assignment, and you might be thinking that God did not call you because you're now a preacher. No, you might be thinking that, well, this is not my area because, like some people will say, Pastor, you're not a politician. And when we started this program 2 3 years ago, some of the guys who know me from Liberia, beside Liberia, other people who know me to be a pastor. and not just a pastor, a seasoned pastor, and the man who called divinely. And I respect that calling, and actually I believe in myself. So if you believe in yourself, you don't have to beg people for respect. You don't have to wait for people to come to look, I know, at what you're saying. You got to do what God have called you to do. The fact remains that when you do these things, probably it doesn't only bring you to the place to realize that you're doing it for a right motive, not a wrong motive. So the community engagement global mission, like we are going through the process of a lot of things that we are putting into place. We believe that, well, we can triumph, we can develop, we can create. Okay, and no matter how where life place you, you got to make life to be pleasant for yourself. And I want to encourage you by the special grace of God. Here today, as we talk about human rights, it's not a religious sect. It's not, well, okay, I belong to this religion. I belong as a Christian, and so Jarvis is a Christian, so I know Jarvis is going to back me up. Well, not with this community engagement. Well, we are all Christians. If you say you are Christian, well, we thank God, but don't violate, don't abuse a Muslim guy and expect me to back you. I'm sorry. So the point I'm stressing here is that, you see, let's be just in society. Let be realistic. We are not perfect. We are not righteous. But this is the point when it comes to the community engagement. I believe that every man has rights to make a choice. Religious freedom is like choice. Okay, you have choice to express. Liberia is a place where religious tolerance have been for many years. From the beginning, we learn. We Liberians understand how to tolerate people, how to accommodate people. Whatever they come with. The only thing about it is when we speak about religious tolerance, you can come to America with something. Well, we can see some different things, but you can do something that you express in your article of incorporation that you are. Some of the guys on Facebook, you can see that they express the means of it's a religion. Well, I'm not going to tell you that it's Christianity. When someone comes out into the public or in the social media, whether you are creating content, you have a right to create your content. But if you come or in a church, in a given community, in a given nation that have a law, organic law, with the exceptions of human rights, but they have the organic law that are actually in line with all the golden principles. And at the end of the day, probably this person bring women into the church, everybody clapping their hands, and at one point in time come for prayer, and they take take up the underclothes of the woman in the presence of the other guys. That is not human right. That is not a religion. That is a religion. It could be a religion, and I'm not going to call it a religion, because the religious set will tell you, don't do this. You do it, we're gonna take you out of the church. Well, and so it's a cult. It's not Christianity either. So what it is, then of course that is not religious tolerance. That is not a religion. So like, get that right. That is not right. That is responsibility. That is choice. There are some things in our society that we need not to accept, no matter how we take ourselves to say human rights has responsibility. Right and responsibilities. We at the community engagement global mission level, we speak of rights and responsibilities. We don't dare speak about rights and forget about the responsibility of the next person. You see, choices are made based on thoughts. Choices are made based on the way we feel. And we want to enjoy our lives. Some people, they will tell you, well, brother, I got to enjoy my life. So I make this choice. I make it myself, excuse me, I make myself to feel happy on Facebook and all the places that I go, because I want to enjoy my body. I like my own body and all that. Well, that's content you created. And again, You have a right to express. Well, we talk about freedom of expressions in Article 20, Article 19, Article 20, Article 21. We talk about gathering, speech, and assembly. And if you begin to look at the related thought, tolerant, which is Article 18, when you begin to look at these articles and understand from the human right perspective, then you realize that, well, I'm going to be wrong if I make those choices that contravene a given society or in a culture that would not accept the fact. You see, we believe at the community engagement level and any mature and constructive human rights organization, we believe not to support anything that would damage the image or probably the foundation of the future of any nation. So we believe in that so much that we protect the future generation. So I can be telling you where I have rights to bring in people who want to believe that, well, I can get married to a man. Well, I can accept it because that's the human right. The fact that we are pastors and leaders and we preach the gospel to win soul to Christ. We don't force people to accept the gospel. We encourage them to accept it. Now, in line with what God gave freedom to everyone to make choices. If you look at Deuteronomy chapter 19, verse 35, if we look at those verses and see Deuteronomy 21, Deuteronomy, and you see the fact that, 30, 19, you see the different articles and you see the expressions of what the Bible says, choose life or death. This day I'm writing right now. Be my witness. So whether you choose life, whether you choose death. So the same way, make your choice. If you think, well, okay, I'm a guy who like the other guy. Well, if you think that's what God says, then go do it. But again, that's choice. That is right. But your responsibility is to make good choice. So we believe in that so much. Human right is about that. Because remember that where your right stop, another man's right begins. You cannot let agree that we have a house. I have a house full of girls, children, right? A child or children. And all those girls, children, they are very good. I brought it up very nice. Let it agree. Then I have another one or two of them left and went out to go to fish, or probably to say, okay, they were going to London, and they stay in London for 2 years. When they came back from London, or I got the information that while they were in London, they agreed to be together as female and female in a different perspective. One of them decided to get into something that they were not brought up in our society. Now, remember that rights and responsibility. A society that respects the norms and morals of their society, they have the right to do that because they are going to the principles of God. So what right do I have to tell them, no, you got to go with this one because I want for these people to be accepted. So then we also are going to be violating the rights of the other people who did not agree, who have a culture. And they were brought up in that culture. Now, the community engagement is equally supporting every instrument of the United Nations. Nothing is inconvenience to anything. But the choices that people make according to the United Nations, respecting people's rights, that is where it is. But let us not limit it to the place where we just teach the people human rights and forget about choices, responsibilities. And that's why the community engagement is all about educating you with human rights, the basic human right that you need to understand, and the choice that you made that affects other people who should have rights also. So going back to where we are, when you have those two girls coming back to your house and they now decided to be what, they make the choice because they have right. But the choice they made, their responsibility from where they come from, was to either remain in the morals, in the way they were brought up, or else they remain to where they were taught to do what they want to do. Now, if they leave there and come back to the house where I'm the father, I'm there, you man. I'm a human rights advocate. I have a principles, right? And I'm a pastor. I'm not going to accept them in the house because I say they have rights. No, I'm going to make a place. I'm not going to reject them, but I'm going to make a choice for them. I'm going to suggest to them because I love them. I know that they could change again. Because my doctrine or my principles or the in content or wherever we come from, the norm, the values is being disrespected. So because I broke that value, my right is maintained according to our principle, but I cannot go back to the house and want for my parent to accept me, because my responsibility was to look at my life, to look at where I come from, to make choice that will be in line with my own country, my values, and what I do. So when I get back there, what happens? Now we got sister girls, young girls in the house, they go to church, they are coming up fine. But if they see me coming with that lifestyle, I dare you to put them among the other guys. You're not going to do that as a responsible parents who want to see your child coming up and growing up in a very decent society. What will you do? You are not going to extradite them, but you're going to put them in the place where they belong. Why? Because the right of those children that you have in the house have to be protected. And human right is by law. Human right is an entitlement to every individual, and this right must be protected by law, guaranteed by the state. So if this person who has agreed to break the norms and the culture and the values of their society come back home, the person who is not accepting them home, they are right, that they're right. We believe in it so much at the community engagement level because we protect the interests of every individual, regardless of your color, regardless of your tribe, regardless of your background, religious affiliations. Respect your rights. There where we are. So as and strategies, one who believes in every human person, I believe that I'm not going to accept my own daughter because she left the house. She had right to make the choice she made because she was grown up. But that choice she made, forgetting about her responsibility, is not going to allow me to accept her in the house. That is not against her right. So the same way, if a group of people who came from, let's say Nigeria is a country that believe in culture, right? Let give it to Nigeria or Guinea or other country that believe in their culture, in their norms. Now we're not talking about culture that destroy norms. We're talking about culture that respect values and morals. It is not they're not a culture that practice harmful thing, no, but culture that respect people's rights. So, in other words, if you come from Liberia or Nigeria, maybe you came to America, but you went to the West and you were introduced to some strange things that beyond acceptance, or something that your community or maybe your people would never accept. Now, so there's no way, and should be no way, to no government who will want to force or impose something on another society that contravene their rights or that go against their rights. because the same instruments that were passed since in 1945, 1948, all those instruments, 1993, all those instruments were passed based on individual responsibilities and rights. So if human right is an entitlement to every individual, and this right must be protected by law, guaranteed by the state, guaranteed by a governing body, that means that body must respect, protect. Now, in the case of Jessica, actually, government need to take action now, or else government it become a violation against her rights. Well, I would say if at this point it might be going to a place where we would call it a violation upon her rights. Her right was not protected. The fact remains that if this guy humanly, let's look at there's organic and this law that hold or responsible upon our own country and the international instruments, which is in line with the organic instruments. Go back and begin to check and fact track it. See, on the legal side, they might be right as alleged. On the human side, on the moral side, they are wrong. Now, so it contradict the legal aspects of the law. What makes it contradict the legal aspects of the law is that there was no witness for Lucas as compared to Jessica. Every examination was done and it was clear that this guy was guilty. But somebody decided, well, I'm taking advantage of this because of money. As alleged, there was some money given to him. Now you can see that, you can see the truth in it because the movement Lucas was not found guilty, Lucas left the country. So again, Lucas has his right to be protected. Okay, and why it is true that Jessica has the right to be protected. So in order to balance it, Lucas would have not left the country until it go through a cross-examination with both parties, making sure that it was fairly done under the humanitarian law for justice to be done to all men. So in Jessica's case, we have a big issues, and government need to take a very close look at it because it becomes a violation if there's no serious step taken to really take it to the higher level. So that is where we are when it comes to the Jessica case. There will be in no time in our country, in the world, that to the extent that case went, that Lucas would have been set free. So we need to understand these things and protect Lucas because he's a human, he's a person that comes from a different society. He has the right. Probably he was kept somewhere because of that situation, which he has right to express, and the law has the right to set him free once he was not guilty. Okay, so on the human side, Jessica has more rights that were violated before even the incident. All these things came out. So again, so when people go out to protest, that's the right to protest. Assembly, okay, freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, but they have choice. So when you go out there, probably to talk about something that is, you're expressing, you can express it openly, talk about it, the way you feel, and the thing that make it to be not lawful. And then your rights can be intervened. We know that people take advantage of the poor because they are poor. They're voiceless. So how can we be the voice for the voiceless in our society? Like our program launched about being the voice. We cannot cease talking about the issues that promote religious freedom. The Christians are being marginalized in more countries, as well as other groups have been marginalized compared to the Christians. Not because I'm Christian, no, because that is the reality. So if I will have the opportunity when it comes to religious freedom, to go to a country to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ, giving the same opportunity to another guy who believes that he has probably a vision and that there is a God that under the rock, or the Church of Mormon, religious tolerance, but it contradicts when the Mormon comes into a community that was maybe born to be Christians or probably practice Christianity to a high level, and it comes into that community and start to force people. If they don't join them, they will kill them. That is not human right. Or probably you come into a country that proclaim or foundationally it becomes probably maybe a country that probably a Christian nation, and you want to force that country to believe in you, whereas they have their principles. Now you have your right to express by means of teaching and going out to evangelize to the people in order to win them over to your church or to your religion, but not by force, using arms, using different weapons in order to make them to be afraid of you and to submit to your God. That is not religious tolerance. So you met them there, you saw them, and they practiced their religion. They would, in fact, it was the basic of the whole country. So now you want to intrude into their country or to destroy the fabrics of that society. That is not human right. You have a right to express. You have a right to go and evangelize. Now, another thing that is so troubling in the world is when you tell Christians. And the reason why I'm basically talking about Christian, not because I'm Christians, but because it is dominantly done in many parts of the world that nobody get on the bus to preach. Who preaches on buses? They are Christians. How many different religions go on bus to preach? Besides Christian. So when you say that, you are targeting a group of people who does that. So that is not religious tolerance. Any nation in the world, whether you come to the public and say, well, no, there's no public, or nobody should come in the public to speak and probably to preach the message of Jesus Christ or to preach in any given thing, you are not targeting a group. You are targeting in a kind of set group called Christianity because they dominantly do it. Okay, so there are a lot of violations going on all over the place against a certain group of people because they don't want them to excel. Now, everyone has the right to express their religion. That's what we say religious freedom, religious tolerance. So when one group of religious people go to a country, they must be given the right to express the God they serve. How do they express it? By having services, revival, not to intervene, not to contravene, not to probably go into another place where people don't want to listen to you, not to force it. That's what every government has the law. But that law must not be limited to a group of people. So there's some conflicts, and there's something conflict when it comes to responsibility of our government. So government have the right, they are the one, the duty bearer. But sometimes duty bearer makes some law that contravene a group of people, because they know that it is only that group of people that go on the bus to evangelize. So that is a public bus. The public bus is used for everybody to go wherever they want to go. So if you not able to express your religion on the public bus, another person is able to express their religion on the public bus. So why are you going to a law to say anybody go on the public bus to anything when it comes to religious stuff? Then of course we're going to take you from there. That is against the right of any group of person in that nation. So the entire world need to come to realize that this whole thing called the Declaration of Human Rights is in line with even the principles of the Bible. When it comes to responsibility, then people don't want to go that route, because they don't know that the Bible has rights. The Bible's speaking way Jesus Christ and even God's visible image express that, and to make a choice, that is responsibility. When you make a choice, that is part of your responsibility to make choice. But the choice you made must not contravene, must not contradict, must not interrupt in other people's rights. So go and do your studies and see how many people commit suicide as alleged. Go do your study and see how many young children commit suicide as alleged. Go and do your studies. And then don't just do your study, but ask yourself the question: if this person was not doing what they're doing, would they actually wouldn't have they reconsider the decision? Sometimes you say, well, I think so. Or if this person have not accepted this kind of lifestyle, what would have been their next step in life? Why did they commit suicide? So when you begin to do your own analysis and take some time to carefully study about what's going on in the world, then you realize there were choices that were made. Now the consequences, the choices were made based on rights. So the consequences that comes, two things: either or the person decide, well, I've been rejected in society, so I'm going to destroy myself. But again, it was some elite people who believe that human rights is based on just making a choice that you can make and put it on other people. We need to come to the place and be frank with big government all over the world. This is wrong. This is not right. You cannot, for God forbid, for God's sake, you cannot agree that a group of people decided to live a lifestyle that their parents did not bring them up in, or it is not part of it. It's not moral. And you agree, okay, we agree to these guys because they have rights. But the other guys that is on the other side of the road live a life peacefully. They don't want to be with these guys. But these guys are just 5%. The people that cross the street, they are 2,000 or more than million people. But the three guys have decided to make choice against their own society or norms. But then you want to take these three guys to put them among the 5,000 people who reject them only because they don't want them to destroy the 5,000. So which ones you will choose as a responsible government, looking at rights, human rights, and looking at responsibilities? So we need more education and publicity when it comes to the community engagement, engaging community to be frank. You cannot marginalize other people to stop them in the middle of their dream. That their children will follow some unknown things only because they met a law that tell them you can live any lifestyle despite where you come from. So our children never they didn't know that it was right because you make it a law. So let's agree that as other nations are coming against it, but this is not human right. Okay, and you cannot force something on another society that have right. Then you say it's human right. That is their right. But again, their right cannot contravene the other man's right. So let it be the balance. That's what we believe in at the community engagement level. From religious tolerance, freedom of speech, everything has to be balanced. You cannot go in a community that have a norm and values in a society, and then you want to break it because based on the fact that other people make choices. No. So we are saying the same way you cannot destroy somebody's life because they make choice. They could be good people tomorrow, they could change. So give them the benefit of the doubt, find a place where you can locate them, take them from among the others. Why? Because they're not going there because they want to go there. Most of these guys are going there because probably they want to initiate people into what they're doing. So the same way when we go to evangelize as Christians, we win soul to Christ by just sharing the gospel. Open the Bible and say Jesus loves you. There is no force. I'm not saying any Christian in the world. Check their background, know whether they're true Christian or probably they have been sent as an agent. Nowhere in the world that you will find a true Christian going to a village to evangelize, to tell somebody that Jesus loves you and want to force them into what they're doing. Nowhere. So which one of the religions in the world does that? Check around and see. Is it right? No. So how can we protect every religious person from those things? Prayer alone cannot do it. So at the community engagement level, I'm a pastor. I'm a born again. And somebody tells me that, well, man, why you talk good about these guys here and you talk about religious freedom and all that. I got Muslim friends. They are human. Muslims are very constructive people. I got different religious friends because they are human beings. I'm a kingdom citizen. I'm not just a Christian. Because Christian are Christ followers, we call ourselves. But are we kingdom citizens? The difference between kingdom citizen and the Christian. A kingdom citizen believe in the people. Kingdom citizen believe that there's one God. In the name of Jesus, and we believe as a kingdom citizen that you don't have to or measure anyone because you feel that they are not coming to your church or probably they are not Christians. That is kingdom citizen. We don't discriminate. So what am I saying? Human rights has a basic components and the elements of different guiding principles in human rights can also point us to our wrongs. even though we try to strive for the fact that we have been teaching only on human rights, we have not been teaching on responsibilities of society, of government duty bearers. So when someone decided to take a group of people or perhaps to insert a law that will contravene, that will contradict, that is going to hinder the future generation, and that law is not based on the organic principles of that country, then that person is being assigned either in the house in order to confuse our generation. That is not human right. So what happens is when we really understand what human rights is all about, then of course we'll be able to balance and our society will not have to be chaotic. And when there is confusion, there must be a time of clarity where we're able to bring it to the level to the people understanding. Not for us to be, using biblical or Bible or probably Quran or something to justify that we are the right people or we are the wrong people. So let conclude in our education, human rights education time today. I agree, as a pastor, as a consultant, a seasoned consultant, a strategist. I believed, I don't have to boast about it, that society is going wrong because we choose that, well, okay, I like my own people. I don't like this other group of people. I don't like this church. I don't like that church. I don't like that religion. I don't like this thing. I don't like this thing. So I'm not going to allow them to do this. I'm going to suppress them. So what happens in our society is it have a broken, actually, components. And everything is not going the way it should go. Because, well, we treat each other like, well, we only have rights and the other person don't have rights. And another thing is we need to come back and check how many laws that we have committed that are actually making a change in our society. Go back to all the government in the world, or else see what those laws have created. Go and check the suicide probably statistics in the world. If you deeply go to those statistics before the suicidals committed suicide, go and read some of their scripts and some of the things they post on Facebook. Then go back and set up. I'm talking about people who are going to countries in the world to try to incite laws that will contravene the morals. Go back to those things and see. Then you will realize that you don't need in the House of Representatives in Liberia, especially in our country. In Africa, we don't need to accept the fact that we are pushing for human rights, justice for all. That law does not contravene. In a given society that is massively, we're talking about 10 million people as compared to 100% who want a law that will contravene the entire country, or that will put the entire country into a predicament for the future generation of their country. Think about it. Constructive people who went to school. Whether you were found in those society, whether you are part of those things, and you want for other people to be part of it. Think about it. Give yourself some time. Don't only look at our rights. Look at responsibility and choices. The fact that you make choice that you thought were going to be in your best interest because you want the money, and you decided to take immoral society and to agree you are not right. Your responsibility is not to force it on another group of people only because if this person wants to be part of that group. Now, how can the two work together except they agree? So, besides of being a pastor, we are strategists. We believed that there are a lot of errors in our society, and it must be corrected now, or else we might be thinking, even in the world, all over the world, that we are doing good things for our children, but we are damaging the future generation. Go into your statistics on the level of the community engagement. We believe that every man has the right for equality, justice, and peace in the world. Those things cannot happen. Peace cannot be in the world if somebody is not satisfied, especially the masses of the people, only based on the fact that you got money. So you're going to one legislature or in the House of Representatives to pump in the money in order for you to incite a law, to vote on a law that will contravene, that will damage the future of your country. Only because of that money, you have accepted a law that will convince your generation. Because let me say it as I conclude. Once you make something a law, it becomes a reality that if that was not good, it wouldn't have been a law. So because it's a law, so it makes people to feel good to do it. But let it be open. That's what human right is. It don't have to be a law. Let it be open. Give the benefit of the doubt. You don't have to destroy people's life because they went to decide to be X, Y, Z. So when they come to your country or you see them in your society, you want to destroy their life. No. You can have remedy. Those people can be rehabilitated. So what is the best way forward? Is to talk about human rights and responsibilities. The responsibility of every society, duty bearers in the world, Christians, bishops, leaders, is to make good laws that based on the future, the preservation of future or remnants of people who decide to live for God, whether they live for God or not. They have rights to make the choice, but there are consequences of the choices we made. So again, I want to say at the community engagement level, we don't believe that, and I'm not a politician, never to be a politician. I believe that politics is not a bad thing. We have to get involved into politics as Christians or any leader for any part of the world. But our involvement in the politics is to help to shape our society. It's not to make it worse. So I want to call on all our legislators. I want to thank the president of our country, Liberia, that have signed the bill, the final document to establish the War and Economic Crime Courts. We want to say thank you. Not to justify that Christianity is, well, the basic, but to justify that everyone has the right. And that right will be protected by law, guaranteed by the state. And I want to conclude by saying to all of us, whoever you are, don't never use your power to suppress a community and try to insert laws that will bring chaos in that community. Because human rights before and after World War II, the reason for coming together was to find a permanent solution against the fact that there were chaos, and to promote peace and justice for all. That was the conclusion. So it have not been actually concluded that we're going back to chaos. Why it is true we still remain different or have different views and still want to do some things against other people's rights. It still remains the fact that those instruments was established based on the fact that the United Nations, those countries never got together only because, well, they wanted to come and add more injury to insults. So let us begin to respect people's rights. People's rights are human rights. People's rights are human rights. And those rights cannot be incontravened. As I conclude, let us agree that we have rights and we have responsibility. Thank you. And let us not contravene it. Let us not look at people and look at them to be probably insignificant. Everybody has rights. Okay, and when we begin to respect people and know that the right needs to be respected, and no matter what or who they are, God have given us the right to respect other people's right. And I stand to be corrected. There should be no time in our history, there should be no time in our words that we contravene others to come into what we're doing. I'm coming. I'm going to be with you guys quickly. So this is all about the kingdom. This is all about promoting the kingdom of God. This is all about, it's only to contravene another person's right. So what contravene another person's right? What stop another person from going forward? What make them to be not doing the right thing is when they stop in the middle of their dreams. Not agree. Promoting people's right is our business, and everyone has a right, but we have responsibility to make choices. If I make a choice to have thin wife, that choice I made. The consequences come back to me. If I want to get in the life of a woman or a man, probably I'm a man and want to get to a man, that choice I made. But the choice that I made should not contravene another group of people only because I make the choice and now I'm miserable. So when the consequences are coming, when we make those choices, let us come back to correct the choice. Let us come back to begin to decide, to agree with society and agree with each other that we can change our society. We can make better change in the world. No need to begin to hate each other. Why would we do that when we are decent people? We are based on the fact that God have called us, not only because we are religious, because people are religious based on the way they think, but because we are kingdom citizens. So I want to encourage those of us who are listening and who were listening at the community engagement level. We talk about rights and we talk about responsibility. Choices are made based on the way we think. So I want to encourage you, join us next week, and we'll have the team here next week talking more about rights and responsibility. Don't forget that the way you started it, the way you express your right, it contravenes another person's against the fact that they expressed those rights, but those rights were not accepted. They expressed those rights, and you take them to be people who were insignificant. You did not give them the credence. You start to suppress them because you thought that because they were marching, they were coming against your government. Thank you. And I want to express this, and I'm going to be writing a paper, submitting it to the House of Representatives in Liberia. Is a concept, is a proposal, is a kind of understanding of the perspective of where we see Liberia going in the next years to come. And this is going to be on the fact that we have more than how many presidents we have been celebrating, or we celebrate all the time. We cannot keep celebrating one president on the 29th of November. Let us begin to suggest we have one day called President Day, because we still have presidents. It is our right to express it. It's our right to see where we're going, because I see that we only have credence. We only respect Joseph Jenkins Roberts, which is the first president. And we only also look at our Totman, who came in and what much that he did, that only he alone will be celebrated on the 29th. Let us bring all the president together and say President Day. That's why the community engagement will be submitting to the House of Representatives, in other words, to harmonize and to make things to be constructive. If we can say Liberia is a secular state, okay, why it is true it was a Christian nation, then why can we say one day will be called President Day? So let's look at that. The fact remains that it makes it to be so unique that everybody will not be pointing to one person, because most presidents have done well, and everyone president that comes to power have their legacy, and they have done something for the nation, and they're getting benefit once they are alive. So why can't we say President Day on the 29th of November and be able to celebrate all presidents and see what next? I'm going to be submitting that document in the next, not days, maybe in 60 days. And I'm working on it, and I will submit it to the government through a group of people that I'm trying to also negotiate and talk to. And as we begin to work on it, I know that the House is going to be very, very, very mindful about that. And I'm going to pursue it. It is serious, and we need to take steps to change our society. Thank you, and join us as we all make the world a better place.